Today we will finally be kicking off the regular season here in year number 3 of the San Francisco Giants franchise here on MLB The Show 24. In the last episode, we wrapped up the offseason along with going through spring training, and obviously the big storyline here was the performance of our first-round draft pick, Tommy Rogers, and his first opportunity against professional pitching. The first half of the spring for Rogers was a complete disaster. His OPS started with the number 2, and he had a lower WAR than anybody in Major League Baseball. However, he has really picked it up since then. His OPS has made it all the way into the 800s, and while the average and on-base are still low, we got to see the flashes of extra base power with him, hitting 6 home runs and plenty of extra base hits. I wanted to see how he would do compared to Kyler Rodriguez, and Kyler did not play all that well. But obviously he has past big league experience and was pretty good down the stretch for us. And we also got to see Munetaka Murakami get his first major league at-bats, and it wasn't perfect with him, but again, we saw the flashes of power. Overall, though, I thought the offense was pretty solid, especially in the second half of spring training, where we held an 11-game win streak. As for the pitching, I wanted to figure out who our 5th starter would be. Kyle Harrison, Aaron Savale, Mason Miller, and Logan Webb are pretty much locked into the rotation, but who's going to take the last spot? I figured Robbie Ray would be the favorite, but he struggled, while other guys like Keaton Wynn, Jordan Hicks, Landon Roop, and even Fernando Molina all played pretty well. Molina will not make the opening day roster, though, because he tore his groin in the very last game of the spring. And while I don't think he would have made the big league roster to begin with, this is unfortunate because this is going to hurt some development he would have had in the minor leagues. Our new relievers were pretty inconsistent. Aniel De Los Santos and Yariel Rodriguez both struggled, but both of them were also seen as locks pretty much to make the roster. So now it's time to determine who will make the team, but before that, we're actually going to be making a trade. I feel like I did not do a good job of getting one certain archetype of player, and that's somebody who can hit lefties, preferably somebody who is pretty fast and plays good defense. We need more platoon guys for our lineup versus left-handed pitching. After doing some searching, I think there are a few players who fit my criteria. Joey Wiemer at the top here with the Brewers is coming off a solid season last year. He's a great defensive player and hits lefties pretty well, but he has 4 years of team control and will be hard to get. We're pretty familiar with Brian De La Cruz on this channel. Last year in the Marlins series, he was awesome, and I would love another opportunity to bring him back, but he did struggle last year with a negative WAR. Luis Urias was a guy I looked at as well, but I feel like he was too important last year for the Mariners, and I don't think they would want to let him go. Eloy Jimenez tempted me, but the defensive ratings are just not good at all. If you're going to hit for an OPS below 700, you need to play good defense, and he does not do that. Dylan Carlson is the other guy who I think really would make the most sense here. Free agent at the end of the year. He's been a solid platoon bat for the Cardinals over the last couple of seasons, but I think he's a player who they can afford to get rid of, and he is a really good defensive player. So I think this would make the most sense for both sides. It doesn't seem like we would have to give up too much in a trade package, but I'd rather give up less. Joey Wiemer is probably going to be more expensive, so between him and Carlson, I think it would be Dylan Carlson who makes the most sense. I thought about Brian De La Cruz as much as I would like to use him again, but I think he's worse than these players, and he actually costs more in a trade. I then looked at Taylor Ward, and he's going to cost an arm and a leg, so that clearly is not going to happen. But as I was doing some searching, I found that Liover Peguero on the Pirates actually could make a lot of sense. He's been a solid platoon player for them in the past, didn't really get to play last year, but he's blocked because the Pirates have so many infielders, especially with the addition of Bo Bichette. They have no need for Liover Peguero, and I think the trade compensation can be pretty fair for all parties. Going through our roster, we have significantly more depth in the outfield than we do in the infield, so getting a guy like Liover Peguero probably makes more sense than, say, Joey Wiemer, Dylan Carlson, or Brian De La Cruz. Peguero had a solid spring, nothing spectacular, but he was pretty decent with an OPS in the 700s. So again, I don't think a trade would cost too much, but I'd rather not give up multiple good prospects. I think a guy like Jake Fraley could be pretty expendable because he does not hit lefties at all, and I don't think he's going to start for us against righties, given that he was pretty bad last year with a negative WAR. Now, Fraley did have a really good spring, which I think could boost his value up a little bit, but I don't think he would make a lot of sense for the Pirates in particular because they already have players similar to him. Jack Sawinski is basically a better version of Jake Fraley, so I don't think Fraley would make sense for the Pirates as he would for, say, the Philadelphia Phillies, who could use a fourth outfielder along with Austin Hayes, Luis Robert, and Brandon Marsh. We'll be getting Tyler Phillips, a 28-year-old pitching prospect with B potential, but he's not going to stick around. He is going to the Pirates along with two other players for Liover Peguero. The more notable of the two players is probably starting pitcher Ethan Small, who once was a pretty highly regarded prospect with the Brewers, but he just hasn't really panned out. We haven't seen much development from him here, and he's going to take a spot off of the 40-man. We're also going to give up infielder Quinn McDaniel, while we'll be receiving Ben Heller, who's going to give us some organizational depth in the bullpen. But obviously the big piece of this is acquiring Liover Peguero from the Pirates. It gets him out of a bad situation where he's like the 7th or 8th man on the totem pole in terms of infielders, and now he's going to have a role for us starting against left-handed pitching, and he's going to give a little pressure to a guy like Marco Luciano, who had a strong season last year, but with Peguero's long-term upside, Luciano's going to need to take another step up. So now it's time to send guys down to the minors. I was really hoping Carson Whisenhunt would have a good spring, but he just was not it. Keaton Winn was a tough one because he's always been good for us, and he'll probably be back up in the big leagues sooner rather than later. Luis Toribio will be sent down. In terms of the infielders, we will roll with 6, including both Liover Peguero and David Villar. In the outfield now, we're going to be sending an exodus of players to the minors because we've got a lot of these guys, and now there's 2 spots left. We are going to have both Kyler Rodriguez and Tommy Rogers not make the opening day roster and go to AAA. With Tommy in particular, I'm just not sure he's fully ready for the majors yet, and with Kyler having a rough spring, I trust a veteran more like Elliot Ramos for the time being, but if Tommy or Kyler play well, I will not be afraid to call either of them up because we saw Kyler perform in the big leagues last year, and obviously Tommy is talented enough to play with these guys. So this is what the lineup is going to look like here to start this season, and obviously this is very subject to change based on how guys play, but I'm really excited to see how the offense is ultimately able to mesh with the addition of Murakami. As for the rotation, Robbie Ray will be the 5th starter despite his rough spring, but look, he has a very short leash. Jordan Hicks is looking for his spot. Keaton Winn is looking for his spot. And eventually maybe Fernando Molina is looking for that spot as well. Our opening game will be against the San Diego Padres. While I would normally do 2 Major League games today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Rather than playing our home opener against Boston, we're also going to play the opening day game for AAA so we can get a look at Tommy Rogers, Kyler Rodriguez, and others in the minors because that's going to be a storyline that we follow a lot over the first couple of months of the season to determine if either Tommy Rogers or Kyler Rodriguez will be up this season for the big league team. But right now, I want to focus on the guys who are on the final roster because they have their opening day against the San Diego Padres as we get the flyover here at Petco Park. These two teams looking to start their seasons off strong. The Giants open up with 7 consecutive games on the road, a 4-game set here in San Diego, followed by 3 at PNC Park against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we'll see if San Francisco is able to start the year off strong against the Padres team, who's been in a pretty similar boat as us over the last couple of years. Competitive in the National League West, but haven't been able to get over the hump. Now, unlike us, I would argue the Padres roster got worse this past season, losing both Dylan Cease and Michael King, their 2 best pitchers, who each signed with Atlanta. As for us, our focus was on making this roster better, adding Munetaka Murakami to the lineup, adding big pieces to the bullpen, and of course Aaron Savale in the rotation. The game is projecting us to finish 89-73, which I think would be good enough for a playoff spot if all goes well. It seems like they're expecting a big season out of Jung-Hoo Lee, projecting his WAR to be around 7, so we'll see if that ultimately ends up being the case, as Joe Musgrove will take the mound as the ace for San Diego. Let's take a look at both lineups, 1 to 9. The regular crew to start the season for San Francisco, most notably Japanese third baseman Munetaka Murakami making his big league debut, batting in the 3-hole. So let's take a look at Musgrove, who takes over the role as the ace for San Diego. Only started in around half of their games last year due to injury, and he was all right. He certainly wasn't bad, but he wasn't ace level, as Jun-Hoo Lee starts this game strong. Rips it down the line, looking for extra bases, and he is into second with a double. As we've said over the last couple of seasons, there's only a few certainties in life. Death, taxes, and Jun-Hoo Lee hits the other way. A fitting start to the season here for Lee, and he finds himself in scoring position to open up opening day. We'll see if J.P. Crawford, who was really good with runners on base last year, can bring him in, as Crawford rips this one into the gap. Jun-Hoo Lee will score with no problem. An RBI double for last season's stud of the year, J.P. Crawford. And San Francisco is already on the board. They lead at 1-0. J.P. Crawford getting right back to business from last year as that brings up Munetaka Murakami with a full count. And he goes down on the curveball. Big pitch by Musgrove. And Munetaka Murakami will start his career with a strikeout. That'll bring up Jorge Soler, who hits this one nicely into center. Crawford will score. It's an RBI single for Jorge Soler, and the Giants lead it 2-0. The offense has been highly productive early in this game. The team really wanted to set the tone this season and get started quickly. Full count now for Blake Sabol. He hits this one high and pretty deep into right. Fernando Tatis comes after it. He'll make the play. But a good start here for the Giants. They bring in two with an RBI double by J.P. Crawford, followed by an RBI single from Jorge Soler. So already, Logan Webb has some early run support, and we'll see what he can do against a talented Padres lineup. Like Musgrove, Webb was injured for a decent chunk of last season. He only started in 24 games, but was certainly very solid. 3.38 ERA, 1.18 whip. And with Blake Snell gone, he returns as the unquestioned ace of the staff. With two away, Manny Machado hits this one high and deep into left. Soler at the track, at the wall, it is gone! Solo home run for Manny Machado, and the Padres are on the board here in the first as it's 2-1. Machado had a brilliant season last year with an OPS above 1,000, going yard 37 times, and he starts 2026 with a blast into left. That'll bring up Fernando Tatis Jr. He's behind 1-2, and he chases the slider. Both offenses looking good early as they've each scored here in the opening inning, and we move into the second. With one away, Marco Luciano chases the high fastball. Good pitch there by Musgrove for the second out of the inning, his second K of the day. That'll bring up Cedric Mullins, who signed a one-year extension with the Giants in the offseason. The 3-2, Mullins hits this one high and pretty deep into right. Tatis at the track, at the wall, it is gone! Solo home run for Cedric Mullins. He tells Manny Machado, what you can do, I can do better. 380 feet for Mullins, his first of the year, and it's 3-1 Giants. Cedric Mullins went deep 20 times last season, 11 of which came after the trade deadline with the Giants. He's really had a new power surge since the deal. Jun-Hoo Lee swings and misses at the fastball. That'll wrap up the second. San Francisco adds another run with the homer by Mullins, and it's 3-1 as we go into the bottom half of the second inning. Willy Adames is up for San Diego, their big free agent signing a couple years ago. The 3-2 chases the slider. That would have gone for ball four if he let it go by, but ultimately fooled by a great pitch from Webb. Two away now for Tyler O'Neill, signed with San Diego in the offseason to help bolster the outfield. The 2-2 swings way too early at the sinker. Logan Webb is not known for his strikeouts, but he's got three early as we move into the third. Here is at bat number 2 for Munetaka Murakami. Again, he has a full count like last time, and he skies this one into left, so at least he puts it in play, I guess. But it will be caught by O'Neill, and Murakami is 0 for 2 to start his big league debut. That'll bring us to Jorge Soler, who drove in a run in his last at-bat. He has a full count as well, the 3-2 from Musgrove. Chasing the slider, swinging a little bit too early. Great pitch by Musgrove, and he finally gets a scoreless frame as we go to the bottom of the third. It's a familiar face, Lamont Wade, who goes down looking on the fastball. Wade was traded in the offseason for Aniel De Los Santos, and he ultimately won the first base job over Jake Cronenworth. 3-1 for Kim. He flies this one into left. Soler is under it. He should make the play, and he will. Pretty good start for Logan Webb. He's only let up one base runner here through 3, that being the homer by Machado. He has punched out 4 and has retired the rest. Let's go into the 4th. Blake Sabol, the catcher, coming off an outstanding spring, is up here with 1 away, and he goes down looking on the slider. Sabol was 2nd in the National League in WAR during spring training, and San Francisco's expecting a big year out of Sabol. Here's Kepler now, pops this one up behind the plate, and Luis Campusano is under it. He will make the play. A 1-2-3 inning for Joe Musgrove. He seems to be looking a lot better after that shaky start as it remains 3-1, and we move into the bottom of the 4th. Xander Bogaerts leads things off here for the Padres, and he sends this one up the middle, past the diving glove of Jonathan India for a single into center, their first base runner since the home run back in the 1st by Manny Machado. And we'll see if the Padres offense can look to keep things going, as with 1 away, it's Fernando Tatis, and he chases the slider again. Tatis has gone down on the outside slider twice early today. Logan Webb seems to have his number thus far. Willy Adames flies it into left center. Jung-Hoo Lee tracks after it. He will make the play, and it's another strong inning for Logan Webb, who seems like he could be here not just for a good time, but also a long time as well. 3-1 going into the 5th. Neither team has scored since the top of the 2nd, as both pitchers have really settled in. Here's Luciano with a leadoff single into center. Nice at bat and hit for Marco Luciano, who, as I mentioned earlier, has a little bit of pressure this year with the addition of Liover Peguero late in spring training. Cedric Mullins, who homered in his last at bat, takes a walk. And the first 2 batters are aboard, and that'll bring up the top of the order. Jung-Hoo Lee is up for San Francisco, looking to add to the lead. The 2-2, and Lee hits this one into left for a hit. Both runners will stay, and oh my God, the bases are loaded. Well, let's see if our team has what it takes here with the bases juiced. It won't be against Joe Musgrove. He is yanked and replaced by the righty Zach Little. 4.68 ERA in just under 110 innings last year. With nobody out, there is absolutely no excuse to not bring in some of these runs, especially with J.P. Crawford, who's so good with runners on base. Gets the perfect pitch to hit, a fastball right down the middle, and he tops it. Barely makes it out of the infield as Bogaerts makes the play, and now with 1 out, things get a lot more sketchier. That'll bring up Munetaka Murakami, who has quite the opportunity here to really break the door open in this game. Here's the 1-2. This one is ripped past Bogaerts for a hit. 1 run scores. Mullins looks to join. He's safe. It's 5-1 Giants. The first career base hit for Munetaka Murakami, and he ultimately brings in 2. And that was not an easy pitch to hit. Slider well out of the zone, but Munetaka Murakami gets it right on the perfect spot at the bat. He clearly has not been infected yet by our bases loaded curse, so we better enjoy him making this play while we can. Jorge Soler checks his swing. Umpire says he went around on the high fastball. Jonathan India now skies this one into right. Tatis is under it. He'll make the play. San Francisco adds 2 with a big hit from the Japanese sensation, Munetaka Murakami, and it's 5-1 going into the bottom of the 5th. Tyler O'Neill with a dribbler to third could be a tough play for the new kid on the block. And the $200 million man makes the throw. Good to see Murakami looking good defensively early. Lamont Wade grounded to second. India fields it cleanly. That's 5 strong innings of 1-run ball for Logan Webb, who still has only let up 2 base runners the entire game. Let's go into the 6th. We'll see if San Francisco's offense can continue their momentum push of the last inning. Max Kepler starts things off. He's 0 for 2 today. The 3-2. Got him looking on the low inside fastball. He thought that was ball 4. Doesn't get the call. That'll bring up Marco Luciano, who singled and scored last time around. Skies this one into left center. Jackson Merrill will make the play. Good inning for Little as he retires the side, and it remains 5-1. And we will travel into the bottom of the 6th. Speaking of Jackson Merrill, he leads things off here for San Diego. Grounder to third, another tough play, and Murakami makes the throw. We certainly didn't sign him for his defense, but I don't think he's a liability at the hot corner. And, of course, he can also play first base as well. Here's Bogaerts, flies it into right. Cedric Mullins is under it. He will make the play. Another 1-2-3 inning for Logan Webb, who continues his fantastic day. And given that Logan Webb's a guy who can go deep into games, I don't think he's planning on stopping anytime soon. I imagine he's going to go for the complete game. He doesn't just want a quick taste of this season. He wants the whole load. Pause. No diddy. Cedric Mullins goes down on the inside slider. Great pitch by Zach Little. Here's J.P. Crawford now. He hits this one pretty well into right center. Tatis chases after it near the track, and he makes the play. Another strong inning for Zach Little. The Giants aren't quite being able to take the Padres out of reach yet, but it won't matter as long as Logan Webb continues this. He strikes out Machado, his 6th punch out of the day. 3-1 for Tatis. Checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. Again, the outside slider has killed Tatis all day long, and now the count is full. We'll see if Webb can get another punch out here against Fernando. And he will! It's a fastball right down the middle. Logan Webb is having his way against this lineup. His 7th punch out of the game. Can he strike out this side? It's Adames. Swing and a miss on the slider. Again, full count. Would have been ball 4. But Logan Webb has such trust and command of his slider. He knows he's going to be able to make the play. Strikes out the side here into 7th. And we move into the top of the 8th. Luis Patino comes out of the bullpen here for San Diego. Had an ERA just above 5 last year. And he'll face off against Murakami, who had the big hit in his last at-bat. And Munetaka Murakami skies this one high and deep into left. O'Neill at the track, at the wall, and it is caught. Almost the first career big league home run for Munetaka Murakami, but he just missed it by probably around 10 or 15 feet. Full count for Jonathan India. He draws a walk. Very tough pitch to lay off. Might have been in the zone, but hey, we'll take it. Full count now for Blake Sabol. He skies this one into center. This one should be caught by Merrill, and it will. Since the 5th inning rally that San Francisco had, they've only gotten one base runner, the walk by India moments ago, as we move into the bottom of the 8th. Luis Campusano hits this one well into left. Soler after it at the wall. He makes the play. Jorge Soler is not a great defensive player, but he's made some nice grabs tonight. Here's Lamont Wade, the 1-1, skies it into right. Cedric Mullins is under it, and he will make the play. Another 1-2-3 inning for Webb, who still has only allowed the 2 hits in this one. Obviously, he's going to pitch the 9th unless San Francisco scores like 4 or 5 runs to where they're not going to need him at that point. Woo Suk Go is in for the Padres here in the 9th. It's Max Kepler, who goes down looking again on the inside fastball, just like his last at-bat. That'll bring up pinch hitter Liover Peguero, who comes in for Marco Luciano. The Giants wanted to give Peguero an at-bat here on opening day, as he hits this one well. Into left field, O'Neill at the track, at the wall. It goes off the wall! Peguero, rounding first, heads to second safely. His first San Francisco Giants at-bat is a double. A quick start here for Liover Peguero, who nearly got that one over the fence. It just missed off the bat. I thought it had a chance to go over, but as you can see, it hits the top of the wall. That'll bring up Cedric Mullins looking to drive them in. Grounder to second. What a play by Bogaerts. The runner does move to third, but Bogaerts might have saved a run from scoring. That brings up Jun-Hoo Lee, the 1-1, and Lee hits this one into center. No effort from Jackson Merrill, jogging to the baseball. He could have easily made the play, but lets it go. Lee drives in a run, and it's 6-1. Another big play by Jun-Hoo Lee, his 3rd hit of the game. J.P. Crawford ahead in the count here, 3-1. Lee goes for second. Risky play with 2 away, but he is safe. The Giants wanted to get him a little bit closer to home plate, because that might be all it takes for a guy like J.P. Crawford, who, again, is fantastic with runners on base. The 3-2, Crawford into right for a single. He hit the ball a little bit too hard, though, to where Lee is going to have to stay at third. And so now there's runners on the corners, and it's Munetaka Murakami with a big opportunity to basically close this game. He's already ahead in the count here, 3-1. Runners on the corners, 2 away here in the top of the 9th. And Murakami ropes it into right, and it's caught by Tatis. San Francisco does add another run. It is 6-1, and Logan Webb will go for the complete game in the ninth. He only has 5 complete games in his career. That feels low for a Chad innings eater like him. As Merrill grounds out to short, Leover Peguero makes the play for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us back to the top of the order. It's Ha-Seong Kim up for the Padres, the 1-2. Skies it into left. Soler should make the play. He is under it, and he will make the catch. So with that, the Padres are down to their final out. We'll see if Logan Webb can get the complete game. The last base runner he allowed was Xander Bogaerts all the way back in the 4th. And Bogaerts singles into center. San Diego was down to their last strike. And now that Webb allows the hit, do you keep him in? I think the plan is that he will see one more batter. Whether he gets Machado out or lets him on base, this is probably it. Machado misses the fastball. He's behind 1-2, and we'll see if Logan Webb can start Season 3 with a complete game. The 1-2 now on its way for Machado. Looks to get him on the slider. Doesn't bite. A lot of the Padres have bit on that slider today, but Manny Machado's a little bit too smart for that. 2-2 now for Logan Webb. Ooh, that was a close one. That was clearly in the strike zone. Look at the bottom left. But it's called a ball. The 3-2 now. Machado rips it into the gap. That's going to drop, and it should score the run. It'll be an RBI double for Manny Machado, and it's 6-2. Logan Webb got completely screwed. It should have been called a strike 3 on Machado, who ultimately takes advantage. And unfortunately, we're going to have to take him out of the game. His pitch count is too high. He's let up back-to-back hits. We don't want something to go downhill, so we're going to remove him now. And it's unfortunate because he should have had the complete game. He should have only let up the 1 run. But Angel Hernandez behind the plate has other plans. Camilo Duvall will come in to finish things off. It's not a save situation for Duvall, who went 40 for 42 in save ops last season, and since then he's grown out the beard. Duvall was inconsistent to start last season, but was fantastic after the All-Star break, and this is about as easy of a finish as he should get. Up by 4, only needs 1 out, and he gets it. Tatis strikes out fittingly on the slider, and the Giants win here on opening day, 6-2. The big story in this one was the performance on the mound by Logan Webb, who almost went the entire way, but unfortunately could not. He lets up 4 hits, 2 runs, going 8 2/3 innings, striking out 8. The offense was pretty good. 6 runs, 10 hits. Cedric Mullins with the lone homer. We really set the tone with the 2 runs in the first, followed by the home run in the second, and we're able to get a little bit of insurance through the middle and later portion of this game to ultimately help us get the win. Munetaka Murakami goes 1 for 5 in his Giants debut, but that 1 hit was a big one, a 2-run single back in the 5th. The Padres' offense was a disaster. Machado played well. He had the 2 hits, drove in both runs. He went deep. Bogaerts had a good game. He went 2 for 4. Everybody else did not reach base once. Their pitching was subpar. Joe Musgrove was not great. I thought the bullpen did a pretty good job, but unfortunately for them, the offense was so bad, it really didn't matter. Let's talk about the AAA team now. Normally, we would do our first minor league deep dive later in the season, but I do want to take a full look at Tommy Rogers' AAA debut, while also getting to see Kyler Rodriguez. We're going to get to pitch with Carson Whisenhunt, who played well in the majors last season. We're going to face off against the Albuquerque Isotopes, the AAA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies, and there are some big-time prospects in this game, 2 of the best farm systems in Major League Baseball. 3 of the top 10 prospects in all of baseball will be playing in this game, obviously headlined by Tommy Rogers, the number 1 prospect in Major League Baseball right now, getting the start in left field, batting 3rd. The Rockies, though, have 2 top 10 prospects. Their international free agent signing from this season, Francisco Mirabalo in center, and then their international free agent signing last year, Jean-Antoine Leroux. They're both top 10 prospects in all of baseball. Here's Carson Whisenhunt. He had a 4.7 ERA in 15 Major League starts last year. I thought he was pretty solid, but he really struggled in spring training and could not make the roster. 3-1 for Benny Montgomery, the former first-round pick. Flies it into left, and already an early play here for Tommy Rogers, who likely will not play left very often in the majors, given how Oracle Park is designed but he is playing there today. Here's Jean-Antoine Leroux, liner into right, and that one is gone. A solo shot for the French-Canadian first baseman, Jean-Antoine Leroux. And with that, Albuquerque quickly leads 1-0. That ball did not go very far. It did not have a super high launch angle, but he hit the ball so hard that it had enough carry to make it over the fence. That'll bring up the Dominican outfielder, Francisco Mirabalo, who strikes out on the changeup. Mirabalo is one of the most exciting players of this year's IFA class, and I'm excited to look at him today. On the mound for the Isotopes will be Jeff Criswell, a righty with a 4-pitch mix topping at 95. He's going to have to face off up against a pretty talented group of hitters, and that starts with Luis Toribio, who had a rough spring, didn't make the opening day team, but he rips this one into the gap. That one could go for extras, and it looks like it'll be a double. Toribio has really hit the ball well in the minor leagues in this series, but has struggled in the majors. Hopefully this year he's going to get an opportunity in the bigs and really shines, as Tommy Rogers takes a big swing and a miss on the curveball. He finds himself behind 1-2. Rogers is looking for the big hit because that's where he excelled in spring training. Lets the slider go by, evens things up here at 2-2. Following pitch now for Rogers, and he chases the curveball. What a pitch by Criswell. Tommy Rogers has pretty solid plate skills, but he's 18 years old. It's not going to be perfect. And it's all good because Kyler Rodriguez is going to bring in the run, looking to go for second. He is out of there, but not before the Sacramento River Cats tie this game at 1. Nice swing for Kyler Rodriguez, who again played really well in the final month of the season with the big leagues, had an inside track to make the opening day team, and obviously did not with his struggles in the spring. Sean Bouchard starts the second with a single here for the Isotopes. They get an early base runner here for Yankel Fernandez. This one is hit into left for a single. Bouchard is going to look for third. He is safe. Along with the two big prospects in this lineup, the Isotopes have some other really good future major leaguers with Yankel Fernandez. Lawrence Butler, who's up now and hits it up the middle for a hit to put the Isotopes up 2-1. Don't forget as well the shortstop Ariel Amador, who has hit above 300 in the majors 2 seasons in a row, but for whatever reason did not make the opening day roster. Here's Mulrine, the catcher, hits it to first. Toribio will tag the runner. I don't know why Wisenhunt didn't go for the base. Run scores again. It's now 3-1. That'll bring up Juan Guerrero. He goes down on the curveball. A big pitch by Wisenhunt, who's hoping his second trip around the order is going to be better than the first. Bottom 2, Trevor Larnach is up behind 1-2, and he goes down on the curveball. Larnach only hit .222 in the spring, but he hit for good power, ultimately not making the final roster. Hunter Bishop now had a really strong season a year ago in Double-A. Sends this one in to right for a hit. Bishop was one of our minor league studs of the year, and I'm hoping that he will play well here in his promotion to Triple-A. The catcher, Brandon Mortorano now, the 2-2, flies it into right. It goes in foul territory, but this one ultimately will be caught, and Criswell makes it out of the second inning as it remains 3-1, and we move into the third with the Albuquerque Isotopes leading. Ariel Amador leads things off here for Albuquerque, and he bloops this one into right. That's going to go for a hit. Rogers tracks after it quickly, and Amador's going to have to stay at first. For those of you who watched the Marlins franchise last year, you certainly remember Amador, who, as I said earlier, has really developed well with the Rockies. I'm not sure why he's not on the big league team. Jean-Antoine Leroux draws a walk. 2 on, 1 away for Sean Bouchard, who grounds it right to short. Arroyo to Prieto. Over to Toribio. It's an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play, and Wisenhunt appears to be pretty fired up as we move into the bottom of the third. Cesar Prieto leads things off here for the River Cats, and he smashes this one into the gap. That's going to go for extra bases pretty easily. Rounding first, headed to second with a leadoff double. A perfect opportunity here with the top of the order up for Sacramento to really do some damage. It's Edwin Arroyo, the talented Puerto Rican shortstop who's made his way up our minor league system over the last couple of years, and he strikes out on the fastball. Luis Toribio had a base hit in his last at-bat. Can he get another one here? It looks like he will. Bloops it into the opposite field, but hey, a single is a single. Runners on the corners now. Big opportunity for Tommy Rogers. He's got a full count, and he puts it right on the ground. Amador fields it cleanly. Can they get two? No! Rogers is safe at first and the run scores. Having somebody with Tommy Rogers' speed is such an advantage because of plays like that. If he's even a little bit slower, this game is still 3-1. Unfortunately, Kyler Rodriguez cannot keep up the momentum as he strikes out, but the River Cats add a run with the great base running of Tommy Rogers as Lawrence Butler goes down looking on the curveball. We go bottom 4. Andres Chaparro sends this one high and deep. It will one hop off the wall in left center. Nearly bounced over for a ground rule double. I'm surprised it didn't. But it will just go for a regular double instead. And Chaparro puts himself in scoring position. We'll see if Hunter Bishop can look to drive him in. Bishop's first at bat resulted in a base hit as he will send this one into left. He's 2 for 2. Chaparro rounds third, heads home. The throw is not in time from Yanquiel Fernandez. And this game is tied at 3. A quick start here for Hunter Bishop. That'll bring up the catcher, Brandon Mortarano, who's behind 1-2. And he goes down looking on the changeup. With injuries last year, Mortarano had very limited time in the big leagues. Actually played pretty well. He hit 300. As that'll bring up Cesar Prieto. Gets a hanging pitch right down the middle. What was Jeff Criswell thinking? It goes off the wall in right center. 104 off the bat. Runner rounds third, heads home. Prieto to third. He is out, but the run will score, and Sacramento takes the lead 4-3. So a busy couple of innings for the offense as we move into the 5th. Adael Amador behind 1-2. Sends it into center. Hunter Bishop cannot make the play. An awful display of defense by Bishop. Amador might be thinking about going home. Luckily, Tommy Rogers gets to the ball so quickly that that's not a possibility. If we had the average outfielder out there, that's an inside the Parker. But again, Tommy Rogers saves the day. And ultimately, it's the difference in a run. Albuquerque will not score. Leroux flies out into foul territory. And the River Cats hold on to the lead 4-3. I imagine that's probably it for Carson Whisenhunt. And the Isotopes will also go to the bullpen, bringing in Gavin Hollowell, who pitched in just under 34 innings with the Rockies last year. Wasn't all that good, as is the case with most Rockies pitchers, as Edwin Arroyo hits this one into left center. That one's going to go down for a hit, and the offense continues to play pretty well. No shortage of base runners here for Sacramento. That'll bring up Luis Toribio. Speaking of no shortage of base runners, he's 2 for 2 up to this point. Has a full count here with the runner aboard, and he puts this one right on the ground. Amador will field it cleanly, leads to an easy double play, and the Isotopes turn 2. That'll bring up Tommy Rogers. Count is even, 2-2 for the 18-year-old outfielder hailing from Saratoga Springs, New York, as he singles into right field and is aboard for the first time today. All Tommy Rogers needs to do is get on base. Once he does that, then if I'm the opposing side, I am fearing because Tommy Rogers is a weapon with his speed. Digs for second, he's safe with a stolen base. And now there's a runner in scoring position for Kyler Rodriguez. We'll see if he can bring him in. The 2-2 for Kyler, who drove in a run back in the first. And he pops this one up into foul territory. Rogers is going to make it all the way home, but it won't matter as it is caught. And the lead stays at 4-3 as we move into the 6th. The lefty, Reggie Crawford, will come into the game here for the River Cats. Crawford, of course, a two-way player. He can hit the ball. He can also pitch pretty well. He has a 3-pitch mix with a fastball topping at 98. That one went 96 against the center fielder Francisco Mirabalo, but he still rips it into the left center gap. Makes it over to second with a leadoff double. Mirabalo's first hit as a professional. And now there's a runner in scoring position for Yanquiel Fernandez. Looks to tie the game, but he goes down on the slider. That was right down the middle. A risky placement from Crawford. Lawrence Butler now up the middle. That's going to go for a hit, and this game should be tied. Mirabalo rounds third, heads home. Butler makes it over to second with a double, and this game is tied up at 4. Big play for Lawrence Butler. That'll bring up the catcher, Mulrine. He's behind 1-2, and he goes down on the slider. I think in a game last year that we played against the Rockies, Mulrine homered against us, and he had like 3 or 4 hits or something. But here he is back in the minors as we go to the bottom of the 6th. One away here for Andres Chaparro. He's behind 1-2, and he hits a rocket into center field for a hit. 109 off the bat for Chaparro, his second hit of the game. He was a little inconsistent last year, bouncing between AA and AAA, but he's an offensively gifted prospect who I think could be in store for a big year. Hunter Bishop is 2 for 2. He's been great offensively and has been equally bad on defense. Grounded to short. Another double play for the Isotopes. It feels like they've gotten one in like every inning. They have at least 3, maybe 4. And we move into the 7th. Reggie Crawford still in the game as he strikes out Juan Guerrero on the fastball for the first out of the inning. 2 away now for Ariel Amador, who's had a great day offensively and with the leather. It's short, but he goes down looking on the slider. 2 solid innings here for Reggie Crawford. This game remains tied at 4, and we move into the bottom of the 7th. We'll see if the River Cats can regain the lead as Brandon Mortarano leads things off here against Hollowell, who's still in the game as he swings way too late on the sinker for out number 1. Cesar Prieto is 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles. He's ahead 3-1. And, ooh, they call that a strike. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought that was more so inside, but it did hit a corner of the zone, so that was a really good pitch if nothing else. Count is full now for Prieto, and again, another close one, but they call him out. So Cesar Prieto goes down looking. That'll bring up Edwin Arroyo, who also goes down looking. Anything close with this umpire, I guess you got to swing. Into the 8th now, Spencer Bivens comes in here for Sacramento, a 3-pitch mix with a fastball that tops at 95. He'll start with Jean-Antoine Leroux, who bloops this one into no man's land. Boink! Off of the glove of Edwin Arroyo. I get that's not an easy play to make, but it was in his glove. He should have caught it. I feel like they should probably call that an error, but it will be scored as a base hit. That'll bring up Sean Bouchard, who's behind in the count here, 1-2 with 1 away. Big at bat here for Spencer Bivens. Got him looking on the fastball. That brings up Yanquiel Fernandez, the 3-1. Low fastball. Goes for a walk. 2 on, 2 away. Lawrence Butler, the 1-1. That one goes over the glove of Chaparro, his 3rd hit of the game. That should score a run. The throw from Tommy Rogers is offline, and it's 5-4 Isotopes with Lawrence Butler putting them ahead. That brings up Mulrine, who goes down on the slider. So Albuquerque is able to take the lead with an RBI single from Lawrence Butler, who's had a really strong game. The former Oakland A, who had a good season last year. OPS, I think, was above 800. How is he not on the opening day roster as well? Evan Justice is out of the bullpen here in the bottom of the 8th. Tommy Rogers up with a full count, 1 away, draws a walk. Good at bat for young Tommy, who reaches for a second time today. And now that Tommy Rogers is on base, it's time to make a play. Tommy Rogers goes for second, and he is safe. They called that last pitch a ball. I'm kind of surprised by that. It looked like a strike, but no complaints here as Rogers is in scoring position. Full count here for Kyler Rodriguez, looking to potentially tie the game, and he will not. Pops it up. Should have let that pitch go for ball 4. Kyler Rodriguez's plate discipline really impressed me last year, so hopefully this is not a sign of things to come. That'll bring up Trevor Larnach now. Count is even at 1-1. And he hits this one into left. Yanquiel Fernandez is under it. He'll make the play. And so it remains 5-4, and we will move into the 9th. It'll be Luis Rodriguez, the lefty, in for the River Cats. One of the many late acquisitions in the offseason out of free agency. We'll see if Rodriguez can prove to be worth the flyer as a diamond in the rough. As Benny Montgomery sends that one into left over the glove of Chaparro. Again, Tommy Rogers gets to it quickly. And Edwin Arroyo completely misses the throw. Benny Montgomery, round second, heads to third, might be thinking about going home, and he'll hold up. Tommy Rogers made a great play to make sure that was a single instead of the double. But sure enough, Montgomery ends up on third base. So just like that, the Isotopes now the runner 90 feet away from home, and a perfect opportunity for Ariel Amador to bring him in. Single into right, and there you go. It's now 6-4. So Albuquerque takes the lead directly because of the error by Arroyo, and hopefully for Sacramento, this lead stays at 6-4 as Leroux goes down on the slider. That'll bring up the center fielder, Francisco Mirabalo, who strikes out on the changeup, but the River Cats have some work to do. Down by 2, going into the bottom of the 9th inning against the reliever Charlie White, who pitched in around 10 innings last year with the Rockies, wasn't very good. I also remember facing off against him in a game back in May, and if I remember correctly, he didn't do too well. But we'll see if he can close the door here in AAA as Andres Chaparro bloops it into center, but it will be caught by Adael Amador for the first out. Luis Matos comes in off the bench, and sure enough, he gets a big hit. Singles it into left center, and so the River Cats have a runner on base. All you got to do is stack some base runners and you're in business. Brandon Mortorano, the 1-2, goes off of White's behind, and it looks like Mortorano makes it safely to first. The tying run is on base. The winning run is at the plate. Things just got real interesting, and Sacramento is right back in the game. Cesar Prieto is ahead in the count 2-1. He skies this one up. Fernandez chases after it, and he'll make the play. So Sacramento is down to their final out, and it is Edwin Arroyo who had the error earlier in this inning. The 3-2 up the middle, base hit, and it's now 6-5. Mortorano looks to make it to third. He is safe. So a big hit by Arroyo, and now the tying run is 90 feet away from home. A huge at-bat for Luis Toribio. The 1-2 grounds it past the glove of Leroux. We're tied at 6. Twice were the River Cats down to their final strike, but Edwin Arroyo and Luis Toribio come up big. We're knotted up at 6. White's taken out of the game. He'll be replaced by Duggan Darnell. Who is the opportunity to walk it off here for the River Cats? Well, it's none other than the 18-year-old phenom, Tommy Rogers, who looks to win it in his first career minor league game. 2-1 here for Rogers with the winning run at second. Big swing in this, and the count evens up at 2-2. Rogers has reached base in each of his last 2 at-bats. We'll see if he can do it again. The 2-2, 2 on, 2 out, tie game. Ooh, a close one. It's an outside fastball, but it is called for ball 3. Looks like it hit the edge of the strike zone. Tommy Rogers might have gotten lucky there. Full count now. Both runners will go. Rogers hits it well to short. Amador, backhanded throw is in time. Rogers can't beat the throw, and this game is going to extras as the River Cats score 2 to keep the game alive. Extra innings runner on second. Here's Yankel Fernandez to left. It's caught by Rogers. Again, the speed of Tommy Rogers continuing to make an impact defensively. Lawrence Butler, who's had some big hits today, goes down on the fastball. A huge inning for Luis Rodriguez, who gets the River Cats out of it, not letting up any runs. And guess who's on second base? Tommy Rogers, the fastest man in baseball. Kyler Rodriguez draws a walk. That doesn't really matter because Rogers is the only runner who is important right now if you're Albuquerque. Full count here for Trevor Larnach. He draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. Just put the ball in play, and you should be fine. Maui Ahuna will come off the bench to replace Andres Chaparro, who's had a pretty good game, but there's a reason why the River Cats are doing this. It's a suicide squeeze, and it's executed perfectly. The River Cats win it as Tommy Rogers scores the winning run off of a walk-off bunt by Maui Ahuna. I'm excited to do things like this in the big leagues with Tommy Rogers because of his speed, and ultimately, it is his speed that wins us the game here for the AAA team, who was down to their final strike in the 9th twice, but to tie it there and to win it in the 10th. Certainly a fun game against a really good Isotopes team, and a lot of these guys are eventually going to be very key players for the Rockies in our division, so we better get used to some of these names. As for us, Toribio with 3 hits. Arroyo had the big error, but he still made some big offensive plays when needed. Chaparro, Bishop, Prieto all had multiple hits. Tommy Rogers reached base twice and scored the game-winning run. I think we had 7 players driving our 7 runs. And the pitching wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad enough to ultimately lose us the game. So with that, we're going to simulate through these two road series against San Diego and Pittsburgh. We're going to hop into Game 2 of the regular season here, and we are dominating 7-0 against the Padres. Blake Sabol has homered twice, and he's looking to do so for a third time with 2 on and 2 away against Luis Patino, as that one is in for ball 1. I think it said the Giants had 16 hits in this game, so the offense certainly has come to play. Aaron Civale, meanwhile, has thrown 7 scoreless thus far in his Giants debut, as that one is outside for ball 2, and Sabol finds himself ahead in the count early. 2-0 now on the way here from Patino, and that one is high. They don't want to pitch to Blake Sabol. He's homered twice, and now they're extremely threatened by him. So now the count is 3-0. He's not going to swing here unless the pitch is perfect. And it's a 4-pitch walk. We wanted to get the third homer. We couldn't. Bases are loaded. You know what happens next. The Giants did not score. Luis Campusano would homer in the 8th, but that's all the damage that would be done. San Francisco wins 7-1, and we will start the season with a record of 2-0. Really strong showing overall offensively. J.P. Crawford 4 hits, 2 for Murakami. India with 2, driving in a pair. Mullins homers again. Sabol obviously at the 2. And Aaron Civale, unlike Webb, is able to go the entire way, getting the win. We did not have any other critical situations, but I do have some good news. We're 5-2. We're playing pretty well. And the reason is certainly the offense. Our team is first in batting average, first in runs, second in hits, third in doubles, top 10 in triples. We're top 10 in home runs, first in RBIs. We're top 5 in terms of walks. We're top 5 in slugging. We're top 5 in on base. We're top 5 in OPS. The offense has been unbelievable with some really impressive individual performances. In the third game against San Diego, we won 8-3, but could not get the sweep, losing the last game 2-0. In this third game, it was the Munetaka Murakami show. He goes 3 for 5, drives in 4, including his first career home run before getting shut out. And then in Pittsburgh, both teams' offenses really exploded. In this first game, we won 12-5. The star of the show, Liover Peguero, who goes 3 for 5, homers, and drives in 8 runs. A revenge game for Liover Peguero, who was just traded from the Pirates. He's only played in 2 games this year, one of which was opening day where he entered in the 9th. But despite that, he has more than doubled his career WAR. And that's with 2 errors in the game where he drove in 8. Marco Luciano better watch his back. Then the following game, we lost 12-2. This time it's the Pirates offense who really played well. And this was a Logan Webb start. He really struggled, allowing 5 in 3 1/3. But then the offense responded by scoring 17. We had a lot of guys play really well. J.P. Crawford, 3 walks, 5 runs, 3 RBIs. Murakami drives in 2. India drives in 2. Elliot Ramos reaches base 4 times with 2 hits and 2 walks. But it was really the Jung-Hoo Lee show. He goes 4 for 6. Homers, drives in 7 runs. And Aaron Civale throws 8 strong innings, getting the win. He's been fantastic through 2 starts so far. Elliot Ramos, through 2 games, has reached base in 6 of his 8 at-bats, has a WAR of .3, which is, well, a lot higher than his WARs of the past. And that's interesting because both Tommy Rogers and Kyler Rodriguez have played really well through their first week of AAA. So if Tyler and Kyler continue to play well, then Elliot Ramos is going to have pressure to produce. And so far, he has. Next episode, we've got our home opener against Boston, and we're going to make it through a pretty large portion of April. And hopefully our team's going to be able to play this well. Maybe we won't continue to have the best offense in the league, but hopefully our team's going to be able to stay at the top of the standings. Hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.